All right, so we're diving into some fascinating stuff today. You guys, you've really put together a pretty comprehensive set of materials on this whole concept of the marketing mix. It's a big one.
Yeah.
And we're going to unpack it all for you in this deep dive. Think of this as your crash course, like the essentials of, this core business strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about the marketing mix, what we're really talking about is all the different ways a business goes about trying to get their product or service out there, how they promote it, how they sell it. It's like a recipe, really, with all these different ingredients that they kind of have to mix together just right to attract those customers, the right customers,
Yeah.
ideally.
Okay, so let's break it down. So, the most common way to understand this whole thing, right, is through what they call the four Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. And I think what's so important to remember here is that these aren't like separate, little boxes. They all kind of bleed into each other. They all influence each other. If you
Hmm.
decide that your product is going to be made with like really high-end sustainable materials, that's going to have an impact on, well, on your pricing, right?
Exactly. I mean, you make a decision about the quality, the features of your product,
Yeah.
and that's going to have like a ripple effect. It's going to impact what you can charge for it. And, think about it this way. You could have the most amazing, like, creative promotion, but if
Hmm.
people can't actually find your product, if it's not available where they shop, like, what good is it, right? That's where that place element comes in. So businesses have to look at all four of these pieces together, like create this strategy that really works for them, for what they're selling and who they're trying to reach. There's no one size fits all solution here.
And I think that's what makes the marketing mix so valuable, right? It gives businesses this like framework, a structure to think about their marketing in a really strategic way. It's like by carefully considering each of these four areas, they can increase the chances that they're offering the right products at the right prices, that they're in the right places, and that they're communicating effectively. At the end of the day, it's all about understanding what customers want and need, but also about driving sales and making a profit and, standing out from the competition. It can be a real game changer for a business if they get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a cohesive approach to all four of these can really set a business apart, especially in a crowded market.
All right, so let's dive into the first P then. Product. And, when we say product, we mean basically anything a business offers. It could be something you can physically touch, like a new phone or a pair of shoes or a book. Or it can be something intangible, like a service, like using a ride sharing app or getting a haircut. It's essentially something that's designed to meet a specific need or desire, something that people want or need.
And what I find really interesting about the whole product element is like how many different aspects businesses have to think about. You've got the features of the product, like what it does and what benefits it offers. Like, if we think about a car, it might be the fuel efficiency or the safety features. Or, for headphones, it might be how well they cancel out noise. But then there's also the design, how it looks, how it feels, how it's packaged. These things can be a huge factor in whether somebody even wants to buy it in the first place. And of course, there's the quality, how well it's made, how long it's going to last.
Oh, and the brand, right? Like the name, the logo, that whole like feeling you get from a brand. Think about like Apple or Nike or even just a local bakery you really like. Like a brand carries so much meaning.
Totally. And businesses are constantly using different strategies to try and stand out with their products. Some try to focus on like unique features or, maybe their product performs better than anything else out there. Or they really try to make it visually appealing. There's even this idea of the design mix, which is like trying to find the right balance between how well it works, how it looks, and how much it costs to make. And, you're right about branding. Like a strong brand can really make a product stand out and, it can even allow you to charge more because people trust that brand. They're willing to pay more for it.
Most businesses, they don't just have one product, right? They've got a whole bunch of stuff they sell, what they call a product portfolio. And there are like tools they use, like this thing called the Boston Matrix. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's basically a way for businesses to like categorize their products based on, how well they're doing, their market share, their growth potential. And this helps them decide, where to focus their resources, which products to invest in. And then you have the product life cycle, right? Like every product goes through this. It's born, it grows, it matures, and eventually, it might decline. And businesses have to adapt their strategies based on where a product is in its life cycle. And to keep things interesting, they use things like extension strategies, right? Like adding new features or maybe rebranding it or even finding new groups of customers to sell it to. You see companies offering different versions of the same product too, like a basic version that's free and then a premium version with more features that you have to pay for. You see that a lot with software.
And, if you zoom out and look at the big picture, the product, it really is the foundation of a business's success. It's what attracts people in the first place. It's what helps build their brand. And a really innovative product, one that's truly different, can give a business what they call a unique selling proposition, that thing that makes it stand out from the crowd. And understanding where a product is in its life cycle, that's crucial for making smart decisions about everything from pricing to promotion. And at the end of the day, a successful product is one that really meets the needs of the customers. It does what it's supposed to do, and people want it.
Okay, so let's move on to the second P, price. Now, this one's pretty straightforward. It's basically the amount of money a customer pays for a product or service. But, like, don't let that fool you. It's a really, really important factor in whether someone decides to buy something. Like, if it's too high, they might look for something cheaper, but if it's too low, they might think it's, low quality.
Absolutely. And this is where this idea of value for money comes in. It's not just about getting the cheapest thing. It's about, does the customer feel like they're getting a good deal for what they're paying? Does it seem fair? And going back to what we were talking about with product, if something is really well made or if it has a strong brand behind it, people are often willing to pay more for it. They see the value. And actually, one of the articles you shared talked about how for some luxury products, a higher price can actually make it seem even more desirable. Like it creates this sense of exclusivity.
That's so interesting. Like, people want what they can't have, right? Or what not everyone can afford. So businesses, they have all these different pricing strategies they can use. There's cost plus pricing, which is basically where they figure out how much it costs to make the product, and then they just add a little extra on top, a markup to make a profit. Then there's price skimming, which is kind of a fancy way of saying that they start with a high price for a new product, maybe something that's really innovative, and they're trying to attract like the early adopters, the people who are willing to pay more to have it first. And then later, they lower the price to appeal to more people.
And then there's the opposite approach, which is called penetration pricing. This is where a company tries to grab a big chunk of the market share really quickly by starting with a really low price. They're willing to make less profit at first to get people to try their product. And then in really competitive markets, you see a lot of competitive pricing where businesses are basically just trying to match their rivals' prices. They don't want to be too high, but they don't want to be too low either. And then, there's promotional pricing where businesses offer discounts or special deals for a limited time. It's a way to boost sales quickly.
Oh, and we can't forget about loss leader pricing. Have you ever noticed how, sometimes supermarkets will sell something like milk or bread for really cheap, sometimes even below what it costs them? Well, that's a loss leader. The idea is to get you into the store hoping that you'll buy other stuff while you're there.
Yeah, it's a classic strategy.
And then you have, premium pricing, which is all about creating that image of, luxury and exclusivity. They're intentionally setting the price really high, much higher than their competitors to make it seem super special. And then there's psychological pricing, which is all about how our brains perceive prices. Have you ever noticed how prices often end in 99? Like 19.99 instead of $20, it just feels cheaper, even though it's only a penny difference. That's psychological pricing. And then in this digital age, we see a lot of dynamic pricing. This is where prices are constantly changing based on things like demand, how many people want to buy it or what the competition is doing. Think about airline tickets. Those prices are constantly fluctuating. And then finally, you have value-based pricing, which is all about, how much value the customer thinks they're getting from the product or service. It's how much is it worth to them?
Yeah, and when you think about the impact of price, it's really the only one of those 4 Ps that actually brings in money. It's how businesses make revenue.
Yeah.
So it's crucial for hitting their sales targets and making a profit. And the price you set, it really does influence how many people want to buy your product. Generally speaking, the higher the price, the fewer people will buy it. Although, like we said, with those luxury goods, there are always exceptions. And you also have to make sure the price makes sense for your brand image, right? If you're selling, high quality, handcrafted goods, you probably can't price them super low. It just wouldn't feel right. It wouldn't match the quality. So getting the pricing strategy right, it could be a real make or break situation for a business.
All right, so let's move on to the third P place. Now, this one is about like how the product gets from the business to the customer. It's more than just like where the store is located. It's about all the channels and methods involved in getting the product into your hands. Like it could be, selling online or through retail stores or maybe even using like direct salespeople.
Yeah, and the strategies they use for this really depend on who their target market is. Like if they're trying to reach a really wide audience, a mass market, you'll probably find their products everywhere, like in supermarkets, department stores, online retailers. But if they're selling something, more niche, like let's say high-end jewelry, they might only sell it through a few select stores. They want to keep it exclusive.
So we're talking about a lot of different channels here, right? There's, those traditional brick and mortar stores, and then there's online retail, which has like exploded in recent years, and businesses are selling directly through their own websites, or, maybe they have a sales team that goes out and meets with customers directly. And there's also wholesale, where they sell in bulk to other businesses who then sell it to you. And we can't forget about like mobile commerce, buying stuff on your phone. That's huge now.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the biggest things businesses have to think about with Place is convenience. Like how easy is it for customers to get their product? Are they shopping online? Are they going to physical stores? And the business needs to make sure their product is available where their customers want to buy it. And sometimes, they use what they call intermediaries. These are like wholesalers and retailers who already have those networks set up to reach customers. So choosing the right channels for distribution, it's a big decision. It can affect how many people see their product, how much it costs to get it out there, and ultimately how successful they are.
Yeah, place is all about making sure the product is available where people want it when they want it. Like, if you can't find a product easily, you're probably just going to buy something else. And the channels they choose, they have to make sense for the product, and for who they're trying to reach. It's all connected. Like, you wouldn't expect to find, organic, fair trade coffee beans at like a gas station convenience store, right? So a good place strategy, it's a crucial part of the whole marketing plan. It helps drive sales, keeps customers happy, and can give businesses a real edge over the competition.
All right, now let's talk about the last of the original 4 Ps, promotion. This is basically everything a business does to communicate with you, the customer, and try to persuade you to buy their stuff. It's about making sure you know their product exists, telling you why it's great, and trying to get you to, pull out your wallet and make that purchase.
Yeah, and businesses, they have a whole bunch of tools they can use for promotion. There's the classic advertising, like TV commercials, radio ads, online ads, billboards. You see it everywhere. And then there are sales promotions, which are those limited time offers designed to get you to buy now. Discounts, coupons, buy one, get one free deals, free gifts with purchase. And then there's public relations, or PR. This is where businesses try to build a positive image for themselves. Maybe they get good press coverage or they sponsor events in the community.
And then there's direct marketing, where they communicate with you directly, like through email, direct mail, telemarketing calls. Sometimes it can feel a little intrusive, but it's still a pretty common tactic. And sponsorships are a big one, too, where a company will support an event or an organization to get their name out there and be associated with something positive. And, of course, you can't talk about promotion these days without talking about social media. Like, every business is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, trying to engage with customers, build a following, and create some buzz around their products. And, there's all kinds of creative stuff they do, too, like using humor in their ads, creating interactive experiences, and even just providing really useful content like blog posts or videos that people actually want to read or watch.
It's like promotion is about getting your attention, creating that excitement, making you think, hey, I want that. It's how businesses try to convince you that what they have is the best. And effective promotion, it can really change how you think about a product or a brand. And at the end of the day, it's about increasing sales, getting people to come back for more, and helping the business grow.
Now, those 4 Ps, product, price, place, and promotion, they're really the core of the marketing mix. And they work really well, especially for physical products. But when you start talking about services, things that you can't really touch or hold, you need to broaden the framework a bit. That's where the extended marketing mix comes in, also known as the 7 Ps. They add 3 more elements: people, process, and physical evidence.
Okay, so let's dive into these extra P's. First up is people. And this isn't just about the customers, right? It's about all the people involved in providing that product or service, like everyone from the people who designed it and made it to the salespeople and even the customer service reps you might talk to.
Exactly. And what's really important here is that, especially with services, the people involved can make or break your experience. Like, think about going to a restaurant. If you have a waiter who's friendly, attentive, and knows the menu well, you're going to have a much better experience than if you have someone who's rude, slow, and doesn't seem to care. And well-trained employees, they can be like walking, talking advertisements for the business. They can make you feel good about the brand. And some companies, they're really known for their exceptional customer service. They put a lot of effort into training their staff and creating a positive work environment.
And then we have process, which is basically all the systems and procedures a business uses to get their product or service to you. It's like, how easy is it to use their website? How smooth is the checkout process? How quickly do they deliver?
Yeah, it's all about creating a seamless and positive experience for the customer. Like if you're shopping online and the website is easy to navigate, you can find what you're looking for quickly, and the checkout process is fast and secure, you're going to be a lot happier than if you have to jump through a bunch of hoops and wait forever. And technology plays a huge role here. Like a lot of businesses are using apps and online platforms to streamline their processes, make things faster and easier for the customer.
And finally, we have physical evidence. Now, this one might seem a little weird when we're talking about services, since they're intangible. But it's basically all the tangible things that customers see or experience that can influence their perception of the service.
Yeah, it's like even though you can't really touch a service, there are still physical cues that give you an idea of what to expect. Like, if you walk into a hotel lobby and it's beautifully decorated, clean, and smells nice, you're going to have a more positive impression than if it's dingy, dirty, and smells like old socks. It's about creating the right atmosphere and providing those tangible elements that reinforce the brand image. Like even things like the quality of the brochures or the design of the website can play a role.
So to make this all a bit more concrete, let's look at a couple of examples. Like you shared some stuff about Nike, their, huge global brand. How do they use these 7Ps?
Nike is a great example of a company that's really nailed their marketing mix. Like with product, they're always innovating, coming up with new technologies and designs, like their Flyknit shoes or their Air Max technology. They also collaborate with like super famous athletes to create exclusive products that people get really excited about. And then for price, they generally position themselves as a premium brand, so their prices are higher than, your average sportswear. But they also use a variety of pricing strategies online to appeal to different types of customers. And their place strategy is really broad. They have their own retail stores all over the world, but they also sell through other retailers, and they have a huge online presence with their own website and apps.
And their promotion is, like, everywhere. They have that iconic Just Do It slogan, and they sponsor major sporting events and athletes. And they're all over social media, and they use email marketing really effectively.
Yeah, they're really good at getting their message out there. And then when you look at people, they've done a great job of making their online platforms easy to use. Their website and apps are really user-friendly, and they have a good customer support system in place. And their process for ordering online or through their apps is really smooth. They provide a lot of information about their products, and they have customer reviews, so you can see what other people think before you buy. And their physical evidence, it's super strong. Like you see that swoosh logo everywhere. And their stores are really well designed. And they use high-quality visuals in their advertising.
Now let's contrast that with, like, a small local business, say a neighborhood cafe. How would the 7Ps look for them?
Yeah, a local cafe, it's a totally different ballgame. Like their product might be all about using, high quality, locally sourced ingredients. Or maybe they have some unique recipes that you can't find anywhere else. And their price is probably going to be more competitive. Not trying to be the most expensive place in town. They want to be affordable for people in the neighborhood. And place is mainly about their physical location, making it a welcoming and comfortable place for people to hang out.
And they probably do a lot of promotion on social media, right? Like posting pictures of their food, announcing specials, maybe even partnering with other local businesses.
Totally. And people are super important for a local cafe, like having friendly baristas who know their regular customers who can make recommendations. It makes a big difference. And their process for taking orders and making drinks needs to be efficient, especially if they get busy. And their physical evidence, it's all about the atmosphere of the cafe. Like, does it smell good? Is it clean? Is the music good? Is the decor inviting? It's about creating that experience that makes people want to come back.
So, what's so interesting is how different businesses can take these 7Ps and adapt them to what they're selling and who they're selling it to. Like, there's no one right way to do it.
Exactly. And, one of the most important takeaways from all of this is this idea of an integrated marketing mix.
Hmm.
This means that all those P's we've been talking about, they need to work together. They need to be coordinated. Like they should all be sending the same message, creating a consistent experience for the customer.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to like create a really luxurious high-end product and then sell it in, like a really cheap discount store, right? It would just be confusing. It wouldn't feel right.
Exactly. And when a business changes one of the P's, it often means they have to make adjustments to the others. Like, let's say they decide to introduce a premium version of their product with more features. Well, they're probably going to have to raise the price, and they might have to change how they promote it to make sure people understand the value of those extra features.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, the product itself is kind of the starting point. Like, it guides the decisions about the price, the target market, the promotional activities. It's all connected.
So what are the benefits for a business that, actually gets this right? Like what does a good integrated marketing mix actually do for them?
Well, when all the pieces are working together, it means a business is a lot more likely to actually meet the needs of their customers. It helps them achieve their goals, like building brand awareness, attracting new customers, increasing sales, and it can really help them stand out from the competition. Like if they're sending a clear, consistent message across all their marketing efforts, it builds trust with customers. And that can lead to, people recognizing their brand, becoming loyal customers, and ultimately it can help them get a better return on their investment. They're not wasting money on marketing efforts that don't work together.
So when businesses are making all these decisions about their marketing mix, what are some of the things that influence their choices? Like what are the factors they have to consider?
Well, there are all kinds of factors, both internal and external. Like internally, the business has to think about its own goals. Are they trying to grow really quickly or are they focused on maximizing profits in the short term? And their costs are going to play a big role in their pricing decisions. And like we said before, where the product is in its life cycle is going to influence their strategies. And the business's financial situation matters too. How much money do they have to invest in marketing? And the skills of their employees are important. And their company culture can play a role. And then externally, they have to think about the competition. How many other businesses are selling similar products and how aggressive are they? And they have to pay attention to what customers want, what are the trends, what are people buying? And then there are broader things to consider, like the economy, new technologies, laws, and regulations.
So just to sum up, we've really taken a deep dive here into the marketing mix. We've talked about the 4Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. And then we added in those three extra Ps for services: people, process, and physical evidence.
And, the main takeaway is that creating a good marketing mix where all these elements are working together, it's essential for any business that wants to succeed.
So here's something to think about. As you go about your day, pay attention to the businesses you interact with. Think about how they're using the marketing mix. What choices have they made about their products, their prices, how they get their products to you, and how they're trying to get your attention? And what do you think makes a marketing mix really effective? What makes you want to buy something? Because whether we realize it or not, the marketing mix is all around us, influencing our decisions every day.